time paying attention growing up. I would always be staring out a window. Teachers would be like, yo, you should be in a slower class. My mom was like, no, there's nothing wrong with him. He doesn't have ADHD. He's fine. Which I thought was weird because at home she would always call me her absent-minded child. Every single time. Now, I don't know if any of you have Jamaican parents, but in Jamaica, whatever's wrong with you is how they identify you. That's just how it is. You can have a terminal illness in Jamaica, everybody's gonna call you, yo, soon dead! Soon dead, come here now. Oh, his name Timothy, but we call him soon dead. And the doctor said, I'm not gonna make it. My ex-girlfriend used to call me soon come. Because every time, doesn't matter. That joke works better when I don't finish, you know?
Welcome to the Tempe Mentality Podcast. And yo, new studio. Give it up for Big Mike Albanese, the producer, moving up.
Sirski.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
This is
good in here,
great
man.
production. I think I bring good luck for Mike because I just did several days of podcasts and now it's moving on up. But yeah, I really appreciate Mike Albanese. But yo, this is the podcast where I get to talk to fellow comics, talking about his life, his influence, how he grows up, and where is he in his comedy career now. And we have this very special guest who, for whatever reason, couldn't sleep. Because he says he was on his thought. DC Willams, what up, baby?
What's up, man? Good to see you, Pandji.
Doing good?
Also, thank you for having me. Sorry, I wasn't talking into the mic. But yeah. You called me a very special guest. That's a lot of pressure. I don't want to put too much pressure on the audience.
Are you
regular
so
special?
Josh and Kevin are two of my first friends.
They're very special guests.
Yeah.
I'm a special guest.
But then, when we were doing the podcast, you were the third person I knew.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to meet Dylan until afterwards. We were sitting and we were talking. So you're a very special guest.
Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's cool. I'm actually happy to do this one-on-one. You invited me to do a podcast, I think, last year, almost a year ago. And we were supposed to do one. Ended up getting into an argument with the homies. And I wasn't in the mood to do it. And I kind of blew you off. So, Yeah, I'm glad we're able to do it now and it's not outside.
Yeah. When I'm still poor.
Yeah, this is a lot more sexy. This is sexy.
Yeah, but it's good to have. But real quick, before we go to our chat, do you have a specific set that you use when you perform in bars?
Just in bars?
Yeah, bars, people, drunk people. Do you have a specific set?
No,
you don't?
No, I usually use that opportunity to try darker material or to work out the stuff that I haven't done at like a good show yet. You know what I mean? So it'll be some of the same stuff and like new stuff.
All right.
Yeah, like an open mic. I kind of treat it like open mic. Yeah.
Last night I performed at a bar for Steven Pantelidis. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the third time performing in bars. And I feel like, I don't know, this is just me thinking, do I have to have a specific set to perform in bars, or do I just go with the mindset, well, good jokes can work anywhere?
Well,
what do you think?
You have to have a specific... what it takes to perform in bars is not having a real career. That's why you're struggling performing in shitty bars with their people's
But you know who I saw last night? This is crazy. Do you know how... Do you play basketball? You play basketball, right?
I grew up playing a lot of basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that feeling where you lost, but to a very good opponent, and then you were fired up? You were like, "Oh, this guy's good."
Yeah, I want to get back or something.
Yeah. I kind of have that feeling last night. It's not that I want to beat him, but I saw him perform. I'm gonna mention the name. I'm gonna drop the name later. I was failing. At least I wasn't the worst last night, but I wasn't the best. Or I wasn't proud of myself. Yeah. Right? I had this one moment. I'm sorry, Steven. It happened. I'm sorry. Thank you for giving the opportunity. There's this one moment I was doing crowd work and I didn't know where to go with it. And then somebody in the back, boring. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's how it is when you perform in bars, right?
Yeah.
But then, so I was thinking, do I have to approach the game differently last night? Was I supposed to? And then, do you know Eagle Wit?
Yeah. Good comic, yeah.
That's crazy. He's so funny.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah.
He's wild.
He just had a publication that came out from I think the Cellar or some comedy club. He's one of the like comics to watch. They said comics to be like, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Comics to be like.
In terms of like doing, I could be completely misquoting that, but I was just told that information, and that's good for him.
For real, I saw one of the best joke I have ever seen since I moved to New York, and he was open micing that bit.
Yeah.
So in the middle of his set, he asked everybody, "Can I do some new jokes?" And then he, opened his cell phone and was reading, and then he did the joke. And this Eaglewit might watch this. It's your joke, Eaglewit. It's crazy. I'm gonna have you in a podcast. He was talking about Swifties and Beyonce and Jay-Z, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was clean.
Discourse.
It wasn't what I would call bar jokes, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, my jokes just suck.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
At you know what I mean? Delivering on whatever level he's delivering. But bar shows usually, because your stuff is pretty clean too. Mm-hmm. Bar shows is a chance to get a little bit more. It's not dirty necessarily, but it's a chance to push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's TVs on and people aren't looking at you. They don't. You actually ambush them with a comedy show.
True.
So it's like you got to throw things out there that's going to get the guy with his back turned with his 6 o'clock beer or whatever to turn around and go, oh, maybe, he just opened me up. Maybe I should listen to this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you go like the soft show route and perform like the crowd is giving you all their attention, it doesn't really work. You got to acknowledge everything happening in that bar.
Yeah. Have you done a set? At you remember Hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she also had a gig.
I used
in a
to do
bar.
it all the time, man.
Yeah, that's a sport bar, right?
That is a sports bar, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember how hard it is to get their attention from the TV.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them was yelling, "What does comedy has to do with sport?"
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is
the weirdest threesome ever. Yeah.
It is crazy, but yeah, it's really tough.
I'm finding that to be fun. I think it's a weird thing for you, and the reason why I'm saying that is because you've been doing comedy for about 12 years or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. I've been doing it for about 8. Right, next year will be my 9th year. So my matriculation was mics, bar shows, shitty shows, bringer shows, good shows, produce your own show. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where so like me, like I'm in the mode of performing in New York City bars. Whereas I feel like if you're doing 800 seaters, 500 seaters more often than not, and then you do a bar show, I feel like now you got to figure out how to come down. You know what I mean? And that's different because it's supposed to be the other way. It's the other way if you start in New York. You get what I'm saying? So
I see.
I'm looking to get to an 800 seater, 500 seater, 1200, and figure out how to perform that, how to get my comedy to hit that many people at once. Whereas you get in a bar. Pandji's up next. You're up there like, there's not enough people in here. Like this is, you know what I mean? Like, and that's for real because that's a really big difference. So now it's like, do I perform like, oh, these people are here to see me, or do I now have to figure something else out that you didn't have to figure out your first 5 years of comedy, but 12 years later, doing it in America, you had to figure that out.
Yeah,
which is actually kind of interesting because
it is. Yeah, but also because there's no bar comedy shows in Indonesia.
Right.
Where
they're at a comedy club.
80% Muslim.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay. So they don't even like laughter that much. Probably. I don't want to judge, but they're very like disciplined people. They appear to be.
But all I'm saying is that there's not a lot of Jakarta is different. Jakarta is like New York.
Yeah.
But every other part of the city of the country, not a lot of bars because predominantly Muslim, except Bali. Bali, there's a lot of Hindu people in Bali, so there's a lot of bar and a lot of foreigners. But there's not a lot of chance where a comic gets to perform in a bar and then be exposed with, the bar type people. And so it's a relatively new thing for me.
Is there any comedy in Indonesia that happens while people are working? Like
oh yeah, sometimes we do
cuz like
stand up in the middle of the office.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah. It's
holy shit. You guys are really in the start of comedy there. Like
yeah, dude. It's only the scene blew up 2011. It's very new.
That's like India. It's only been like 10, 15 years for them. Yeah.
Wow.
Just started, bro. Why do you think there's so many fucking Azizis out here, man. Like they're killing it.
Very true. Very
and
true.
I say that with love and respect.
Yeah.
No,
not a lot of Indonesian though.
Not a lot of Indonesian comics.
Yeah. It's too expensive to go to New York.
Yeah, oh, I can see that. But I would see another. It's like you and one other comic from Indonesia just needs to break through America. I think more kids from there will probably start doing it.
Yeah, hopefully. But I can't see who is going to be the next going to New York. I don't know.
That kid might be the next time when you go there in December. Some kid might see it and be like, I kind of want to be. I want to be an Indonesian comic, or I want to be a comedian. He might go to you. Someone might, because like that's why a lot of people. When I started doing comedy, I realized there's like an influx of like, I don't want to keep not to harp on, but like there's a lot of Indian comics like coming in. I feel like there weren't. It was Russell Peters growing up, Aziz as like you got into college or whatever. But like besides that, it wasn't too many. Now it's like
especially because of Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, especially because of Netflix. But there was the what do you want to call it? The comedy got like really like robust or like revolutionized over there, and it just started like everyone started doing comedy. I think because they saw the success of like Aziz and all that, and I think comedy there started like for real like 10 years ago.
I see.
And there's only like a few so many that are like that. But
are you sure you didn't sleep last night? Because you don't sound and think like somebody who did. Because you're like you had coffee.
I did have coffee.
I haven't had coffee. Oh, you did have coffee.
Yeah, I did. I also was up like with my thoughts for like 8 hours. So I don't know. Maybe you know what? You know why?
Sometimes when you're high, you do that.
Maybe yes, but also okay. So you asked me to do 12:30 or 10, and I chose 10 specifically because
10:30 or 12.
10:30 or 12, and I chose 10:30 specifically because I wanted to get up earlier. I have a reason to get up earlier, and because for the being up in the morning helps me a lot more with my overall life and my brain. So I think I was really excited to be here. Number one. And this is the gayest shit ever, but like I was anticipating it so much. I think that's partly the reason why I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to be late. And what happened?
A little
10 minutes
bit
late.
a little bit.
Still 10 minutes
a
late.
little bit. On New York standards, I don't know. I think that's okay.
I'm pretty on time for New York.
Yeah, no, Mike is always on time.
Yeah.
I'm always almost on.
And that's why I feel bad too, because it's a studio, and I'm used to recording with my friends. And also, not saying like be on time, being punctual matters, okay, especially for black. Listen, kids. But I feel bad because you guys were, when you guys are here already, I'm just kind of like, oh fuck, he's paying for a studio or whatever it is, and then
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good. We have time because the thing about this podcast is there's no way to do it. We're just, sitting talking. If you want to ask questions, you can, because it's just conversational. I'm just interested in, because I'm trying to understand how diverse. No, I understand that New York is diverse in terms of culture, especially Queens. And I'm trying to, get into the lives of people. And I know that you're Jamaican, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamaican.
Yeah, Jamaican American. Not to be like, but like my parents are Jamaican. I was born here in America.
Is that what people call transplant? Or I'm transplant?
We're all technically like technically I'm a son of an immigrant, but my mom transplanted here from Jamaica. You know what I mean? And people transplant to New York from Ohio, so I guess like that's transplant too. So
right. So I'm transplant. If me and my wife have another baby,
no, you're not a transplant. You're an immigrant. We have to call you what we are in this society. No, I'm kidding. I'm fucking around. All
right. So your parents moved to New York straight away from Jamaica to New York.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah.
Your mom, and then your mom met your dad here, or
my mom met my dad here. Yeah.
Right, and then she was studying at first, or maybe she was just working.
Sure. That actually sounds so good. That sounds better than my actual childhood. She was studying. She met my dad here. Yeah, he knocked her up. He didn't want to stay in the life because he knew I was going to be great, so he left. He was like, he looked at me. He's like, yo, he's going to be all right.
Wait, yo, this is. DC, please understand that whatever question that is going to come out of
fire
me
away
is because I really don't understand the culture.
Okay.
So like you were saying...
Something racist.
No, I'm not. Mike, help me out now. I'm just trying to understand. No.
Yeah.
Mike, help me.
I know what he's going to ask.
Okay.
What's up with black people?
No, that's
So many of them. And so
you were saying, black people specifically don't be late, right? Because there's a stereotype.
Yeah. I was making fun of a stereotype. Yeah.
And also, there's a stereotype, and a lot of comics are talking about the stereotype about fatherless black kids.
Yeah, I happen to fit so many weird stereotypes.
Really?
Like, no, I do. But like most of my friends growing up in high school, the kids, black kids, they had both parents at home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, parents were like a lawyer or doctor or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand when I think Chappelle said it. I think Chappelle said it how
he grew up in the suburbs.
No, he was talking about how important watching the Huxtables.
Oh yeah, for what do they call it? The nuclear family. Yeah,
the nuclear family.
Yeah, like a family that's like I would like center mother, father, you know, there in the life, 2 kids, like you know, like being raised in a healthy way.
Yeah. I think that's it. So it's like giving. I think Chappelle said, I don't know. I don't want to butcher the way he says, but he says that it's giving black people sort of like a role model of how to, you know, have a family. Yeah. And it's important because I grew up with a lot of family sitcoms like Family Ties, Growing Pains. Do you know this?
Yeah. All familiar.
And I think there's only 2 sitcoms that is about black family. It's the Huxtables, and I think it was Jeffersons.
Okay, I like the Jeffersons.
Yeah,
I was always fascinated by the angry old dude on TV. Always.
Yeah. He's funny. When I was in elementary, I used to walk like
No.
He goes like this, right? Everybody laugh. Yo, what are you doing? I walk like this because it's funny. It's funny, right?
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's
bro.
true.
Just screaming at women for no reason.
Just the walking. Just the walking.
And that's why it's important to live in a diverse country where black people will call you out for that shit.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it.
I may have done that.
I'm so sorry.
I may have done that once and then never again. I'm like, oh, you're right. My bad.
I was just a kid, you guys. This was in elementary.
That's usually when you learn to be misogynistic, right? It starts with your kid.
But yeah, what was it like growing up for you?
Well, I moved around a lot. I was raised vegan, which was weird because
out of religion.
Religion and health. My mom used to have seizures as a kid, and we moved to Florida and she changed her diet. And then she made us all vegan from like 7 years old.
Made us all. You were
me and my two older brothers.
2 older brothers.
So I was raised vegan. I was homeschooled for 5 years. I moved around a lot. I lived in Queens. Was born in Jamaica, Queens. Lived in Far Rockaway. Lived in Long Island, Catskills, upstate New York, Brooklyn, Bronx, Georgia, Florida. Wow. I went to 3 different high schools growing up. Yeah,
your dad is Jason Bourne or something?
No, my dad is a bum. So mom was working all the time and moving. You know what I mean?
From job to job.
Yeah, go where the money is, kind of thing, like single parent shit. So yeah, that's pretty much like that's I guess the long and short of it of how I grew up. But
how does that affect you though? Moving,
it just made me weird. It just made me weird, like
weird
a weird
how?
Because I started going back to school in 7th grade. So I was homeschooled for 5 years, and then my mom was like very religious, so the curriculum was like pretty religious too. But also like I couldn't pay attention. Also, so my mom worked a lot, so she would give us the curriculum to do. My brother would do it, and I would go climb a tree or something like that. Straight up.
So when you started 7th grade?
Yeah, so I went back to school in 7th grade, and it was like exciting and terrifying because I'm like, oh, this is like school on TV. This is like 9:00. Have kids go to their locker.
That's wild.
Yeah, like this is crazy. You change classes and shit. You know what I mean?
Is it weird socially? I mean, to socialize?
Yeah, I had to figure out how to socialize like that without seeming. I already felt weird to everybody.
But you have brothers, right?
Yeah,
they kind of help shape you up.
Nah, well, me and my brother's a year or 2 months older than me. My second, the middle child. So we went to school together. I was in 7th grade. He was in 8th grade. And we were just we've been home. We were homeschooled. We were mostly just drawing, making comic books, like mangas, like Japanese mangas. Used to be like an anime nerd. And like
any favorite?
Shonen. I really like not Shonen Jump. That's the magazine. One Piece as a manga. I liked it a lot. Some of the Dragon Ball Z stuff, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho.
You read Slam Dunk?
I've heard of Slam Dunk. Yeah. It's so funny. I've heard of Slam Dunk.
That's crazy as well.
I've heard of Slam Dunk. Yeah. So I was really into a lot of that shit growing up, and I don't know. We used to our imagination used to run wild out of boredom and not really have in confinement. You know, nature. My mom was big on nature, like gardening and stuff like that. Going back to school was weird because you moved around a lot. You didn't really know how to relate to people. You're from New York. You're going to school in the South now. You know, so it was relating to people was hard until I started like breakdancing, and then I realized, oh, if I could just be good at something, like then I could cut out all the awkwardness in between of people not probably even wanting to talk to me.
I'm gonna get there because it's interesting because I know you rap.
Yeah, I used to rap. All that started in high school, middle school, man. We used to skip class and rap, and there was a lot of like creative like kids there. But that was also, I remember doing a talent show in middle school on stage in an auditorium, and they picked up a few random people to go up there and dance, and a few people knew me and my brother did, and they like were like pulling us to like go up there. And that was my first time performing on a stage in a packed room of any kind in an auditorium, and I think when I realized the reaction and like the principal like told my mom like, you know, your boys are so like great or whatever, and like my mom like looked proud or whatever, but like usually I'm just getting yelled at and like beat, you know what I mean, something like that. And I don't mean that like unfairly. I just mean that in Caribbean. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think as the part of that stuck with me, like oh you got to stay on that stage, bro. Like I think you just figured out. I think you just broke through the awkwardness and the getting to know people and do people, you know what I mean? Like through that. And I think I realized that at like 13, 12 years old. Yeah. And I was like, and I think that stuck with me all the way to when I first took a film class, and I was like, I want to go to art school. Like I want to make movies. I want to be an actor. Right. Shit, yeah.
Do you think you still have it? You still got it? The moves?
Not as much as I used to. No, my body's not as flexible. My body's not as flexible now. But like, pause. Sorry, but like, no. New York is homophobic. No, but that was the first thing. And it was a group. I was in a dance group too, and I kept doing talent shows like in high school. And that was the first meeting of like any kind of like stage of a couple hundred people, and then like you think back on that and he's like, oh, I was always supposed to keep going in like this direction type shit. So
but why did it shift it though? Did you get injured or something else?
Get injured. That's how most people stop dancing.
I don't know.
No, most people give up dance because it's fucking unforgiving. It doesn't pay. You know what I mean? Unless I'm dancing for Beyonce or something like that in the background. You know,
whatever you do, if you're good at it or you're great at it, the money comes.
Sure. There's some truth to that. So fast forwarding through like just growing up, like, you know, like after a while and like taking a film class and trying to figure out what I was going to do after school, because I moved again, and I went to Baldwin High School, then I went to Mount Vernon High School, then I came back to Georgia, and then I was like, yo, Mom, I don't want to go back to school. And I just finished my 11th grade year. I finished school online. I got from Miramar Academy. I got a diploma, got a 3.5 GPA because I cheated my ass off. This is a legitimate story. And I applied to a school that my friend got into, who is my homie best friend, who also very talented dancer and actor. Also that I met in high school is my homie from Brooklyn. Shout out to Brooks. He got into that school, and that's my guy. No offense, but I was like, yo, bro, if you got in, I'm getting in. So I applied to one school, and I was like, this is where I'm going. And as long as you got like awarded like financial aid or you could afford to go, like you went. So I went to an art school to study like film and motion pictures and television was the name of the program. And I got onto that because I took a videography class in 10th grade, which led me to do an internship in 11th grade. And my mom also was like happy that I got an internship because I was a lousy student. Like I'm a shitty student. I'm a good worker. I'm a shitty employee too, but I'm a good worker. I just don't check in with supervision and all this and all that. But like I can work. But like I just wasn't like school just wasn't stimulating to me. I was thinking about going to the military. I still almost went after I went to college. But I wasn't. I was more pussy than Kev, so I couldn't follow through. Also, I was an aggressive weed smoker at 18. So when I moved to San Francisco and I took the ASVAB, I didn't get a good score. I also didn't pass the drug test. And she was like, just stop smoking, take the test again. And I was like, I just moved to San Francisco. Weed is legal here. This is 2012. From New York, weed was nowhere near legal.
Wow.
So I was like, no way, I'm going to stop smoking to go fight for the country.
That's not enough.
So I dropped out of film school after my first semester and just started working. Started working and trying to figure it out from there. I would keep hanging out with kids that went to the school. Sometimes my homies would use me in their projects, like photography or like film, whatever it was. And I just kept trying to figure it out. Then I moved to LA like 2.5 years later. And then I figured out there that I wanted to like start like acting, and which I didn't start doing comedy. So I came back to New York in 2015.
Wow.
And
you didn't mention anything about rap. It was brief?
So I rapped a lot in high school, mostly like freestyling and like, doing shit like that. I put out a mixtape during the pandemic though, but that was only because comedy wasn't happening full throttle. Like I wasn't auditioning as much for stuff.
I see.
And prior to that, I was.
People get access to the mixtape?
SoundCloud. You see it's on SoundCloud.
It's still on SoundCloud.
It's on SoundCloud.
On DC Willams.
DC does it. Yeah.
DC does it.
It's under DC does it on SoundCloud.
Right.
You can go listen to it if you want to, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I ever do music again, it'll definitely not be that. But like, I wanted to do it. It was 8 songs. I was like, just put it out. There's nothing else happening right now.
Yeah,
like,
maybe the next album is going to be you playing the flute, like
100. No, I haven't earned that yet. Next,
That's
I would
really
like
wild.
to make music for a series that I wrote or something like that.
That's nice.
I would like to be able to influence like a soundtrack of something that I'm partly responsible for. Like, so I think that would be cool in the long run.
So the filmmaking aspiration is still pretty much alive.
Yeah, but like art school is what was taking me there, just being around that thing and knowing that, because I thought I wanted to be an editor when I first went to film school. Started doing lab hours. It was a lot. I was like, oh, this is for someone whose goal is to be overweight and then like sit, you know what I mean?
And doesn't like to sleep.
Yeah, doesn't like to sleep, wants to edit a 2-hour film, you know what I mean? And that's fine, that's dope too. But I realized like, oh no, like, and then with comedy, while everything came back to comedy, is when I started writing for myself, I learned how to write in general. I learned how to write sketches. I learned how to write a scene, dialogue, or whatever it is. And that's that thing. I saw the GOAT, Marlon Wayans, say this in an interview that came out very, very recently, is that stand-up, you're the actor, you're the director, you're the writer, you're the star. Every night you perform on stage. That's you're directing that whole thing. And I think some people might not look at it as that, but you should look at it as that, because you can easily, the way I think about material, I think about some jokes and I'm like, oh, this joke is funny, but this will probably be funnier as like a skit or a sketch, or what's the stand-up version of this sketch? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
what's the sketch version of this punchline? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It works, especially. Well, the way you do it, sometimes it became like a storytelling kind of joke.
Yeah. Story, like, but that's the thing. Then you teach yourself, oh, how do I tell a story now? Okay, now how do I break down a story into dialogue and make it two different people communicating? Like, and some people can learn. They take creative writing classes, short story writing, playwriting classes. But if you have like certain inclinations when it comes to like creating, like it was those little things that like were just threading together when it was, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, like, okay, act outs, impressions, set up, premise, punch, writing topically, writing observationally, right? You know what I'm saying? Making up like a person like in your stand-up. And it's just like, oh, that's one, stand-up is one format to do it in. What if you wrote those jokes in a different format, like a series or a script? Like it's the same. I don't want to use a bunch of pretentious words, but I'm a little pretentious. So like it's malleable. Like you can, and I don't like when people who write or create look at this thing as like some people say, oh, I tell this joke on stage, can I still do a sketch about it? If I do the sketch, it's like, yeah, it's gonna hit different on, you know what I mean? It's not gonna be the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I understand now why, as a person who has the aspiration of filmmaking, you're in New York, because people would think comics that go to LA has that filmmaking.
I went to LA first though, and I fucked up because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Oh.
8 years later, I would go to LA way more confident, knowing what I'm capable of and knowing what I would want to do out there, and I would know where to go too.
8 years later, meaning
8 years starting comedy in 2015 to now.
Oh,
you know
I
what I'm
see.
saying? Yeah. So I left LA, came back to New York, and started stand-up comedy 2 months later. I came back in September or October in LA, and I started stand-up November of 2015. Yeah.
What was that like starting out doing stand up? Where did you start?
Walked into Broadway Comedy Club open mic, peeped in there, you know, like a creep. You know, you survey the scene a little bit. Next week went up, it went well. They're like, oh, you're funny. Went again, they're like, oh, you're funny. I'm like, oh shit, man, I don't gotta write shit. Went back a third time, bombed so hard. I was like, I'm not funny. Actually, I got very lucky those first 2 times. I think I may have even one time I did like a spoken word at the end of a fucking like I was just trying to try some shit and it was
poetry.
Awful. Yeah. Someone was like, yo, bro, don't. Somebody was like, yo, don't
what
do
were
it.
you trying to do?
Like, yo, that shit at the end, don't do it again.
But
and I didn't do stand up for like a couple months. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't do stand up for a couple months. And
But then you came back because
I came back
because the urge was
because you're just sick, dude. You know what I mean? Like you're just like I no matter how much it hurts, you're like I gotta do it again. You know what I mean? Like just gotta. But I also learned that I have to write material, and then that's when like the real journey of learning how to write a joke started. It was like going back and like figuring it out and figuring out that you need to do this as much as possible, like almost more than every day. So yeah. So.
Also, I mean, I only get to see you perform during this last 2 years.
Yeah.
But I have a sense that your comedy it's I don't know how to say it. It's different from a lot of other comedians.
Yeah, I know that's an
especially-
observation, but that's a huge compliment. I'm taking that as a huge compliment. I like for
No,
real.
yeah, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
But
You're just not good.
I want to say it's smarter,
Oh, wow.
but it's
Thank you.
it's weird to say it.
Yeah,
but you know where I'm
outrageous.
getting at,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like for
People
instance,
say alternative. I've got that a lot. People have referred to me as an
really?
alternative comic.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't even, and I've never like even like.
We were talking about stereotypes before, and you didn't seem like the stereotype, black comic.
Right. Yeah.
Is that why they say it's alternative?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, because it's easier. The industry is very like straightforward. They want you to be if you're Asian, be the most Chinese person you could be. If you're black, be the most black person. If you're Spanish, be the most Latina.
That's true.
Whatever, you know what I mean? It's easy for them to cast you like that. It's easier for people to get you.
Yeah.
And
if you're white, it's why don't you try production?
Yeah. Oh, I hate myself. I'm bad at sex. They just make that up just to be. It's just like really everyone's bad at sex. It was a lot of those jokes when you start comedy earlier. Just like, come on, bro. Someone's crushing pussy in here, right? But everyone, they want to stereotype you. No matter what, if you're white, they want an easy stereotype of you. You're black. You know what I mean? A lot of the times they just want the easiest version of someone. The lame white dude. The cool black, whatever it is, you know what I mean?
That's why Hannibal Buress is really special to me.
A dry black comic, if you want to call it that. Kind of deadpan,
Yeah.
That was like a newer style, that I could, But yeah.
Is he based in New York or somewhere else?
I think he started in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, I think he started in Chicago and
He started in Chicago, came to New York, failed in New York.
Yeah.
Couldn't get anything done, moved back to Chicago, figured out who he is, figured his voice out, came back to New York and murdered.
That's what you got to do sometimes. So
you
prior
knew
to
him when he was
A little bit. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Are you a comic too?
Yeah.
Yo, shit, hell yeah. Okay, I didn't
he's
know
a
that.
legend.
Okay,
That's
hell yeah.
disrespect, man.
I just wanted to know.
Don't disrespect Mike Albanese, man.
That's the problem. You sit behind those computers and people start. I was trying to make sure. Okay, yeah.
No, but I saw I think it's on YouTube. He has like a documentary of performing at Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where you get to perform.
I just heard someone else talk about that the other day too.
Yeah, like
I remember
a whole
watching that
month.
on Netflix. Yeah,
A whole month.
I want to do Edinburgh.
Yeah, me too.
I would really love to do it. I went there. I visited. I was like, I would love to do a.
Have you been at any festival, like New York Comedy Festival?
I don't think I don't think I've been. No, I don't think I've.
No?
I'm around New York Comedy Festival. I've done a spot in a show.
I did Mike's when New York Comedy Club was happening.
But no, I haven't been in a festival. I've done a lot of.
I wonder what it feels like.
It depends, because like, I feel like it could. When New York Comedy Festival was happening, it felt dope as fuck. Like everywhere you went was the stand. Every comedy spot felt dope. But like when I think like festival, I think like Just for Laughs.
Mm-hmm. Montreal.
Somewhere where there's thousands of people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done a festival, Mike?
I think you organize festival.
I actually produce a festival.
Okay.
Red Clay Comedy Festival in Atlanta.
Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike, because I have no understanding, but
I haven't done
does
either.
every cities have their own?
A lot of cities do.
A lot of cities. So New York has it. Atlanta has it.
They got them everywhere. Literally everywhere. Alaska has one. It's called Alaska Before You Die.
There's that. Wow.
It's like, hey, you got to get up here at least once in your life. Let's get a comic up here. So it's a great idea. Yeah,
absolutely.
But so that means there's like a circuit where comics can go from festivals in this city and to other
You'll
festivals.
see a lot of comics around the same time. They'll get a really good tape. And then submit it, and that good tape will get them into a lot of festivals.
Yeah,
I see.
It's surprising how much a tape can do for you. Because I've seen great comics put in a bad tape, and the people. So my festival, we don't like. I'm a comic. It's comics that run it, but no comics watch the tapes because it's like otherwise it's just a friend fest. And then it's a ripoff. People are getting ripped off. They're just sending money, and it's just like I'm just gonna bring my friends. But I've seen it's all like agents and managers and people that aren't related to the comics they're watching in any way. But I've seen comics that are like, they'll send in a Tonight Show tape and it won't get a good rating because it just wasn't a good tape. Because the people that are watching it understand comedy and they're like, oh, this is a Tonight Show, it must be great. And it's like, oof, this fell flat. Or comics are killers. Low rating, you look at their tape and you're like, how did they get such a low rating? And you're like, oof, this is a shit tape. And
Is it the audience or is it their performance?
No, it's the comedy. It's mostly comedy.
Okay.
Comedy and confidence.
Okay.
Where does the mistake lies? Does the comic miss? I don't know. He thought this is the kind of joke that I want them to see.
Yeah.
Or
I think
have you submitted tape?
That I've submitted tapes to get booked and stuff like that. Yeah, I have, and I've submitted tapes to do shows and stuff like that. What I've seen with some comics is that they try to get a good tape like too early, like a year into comedy or something, a year in, and that's the tape that they're using, and it's not really a good performance. Like they don't realize they're looking at the floor too much, maybe, or just a lot of bad habits. You got a lot of bad habits your first year, or whatever it is, and some people they want that tape to work, but like I had this conversation with someone last night. You really don't want to get seen earlier than you should get seen by certain people. Like, you kind of want to be bad and under the radar. I don't know if you agree with that, Mike.
100%. Yeah. You should hide for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, because they hide.
But some people feel like, I want to be out there as soon as possible because I know I'm funny.
Out there doing what, though? You can't headline. You don't have 30 minutes. Like, you can't. You don't have a good...
If I ever get fully kicked out of comedy, like, if I ever finally, like, I'm like, nobody wants to fuck with me and I'm done and I fall out of love with it, which I can't see. But if I do, I'm excited to, like... People complain all the time with my festival. They're like, how come I didn't get in? And they'll like go on social media and blast it. And what I want to say is, cool, I'll post your tape. And then everyone else can chime in to tell me if you're wrong or if I'm wrong. Because it's like, I know that you think you're great, but this tape sucks. And even if it could be a funny tape, but if I can't hear you, if the viewer can't hear you, then
That's
you
right.
like I don't know what the jokes are. If it's like sometimes they'll do like a 3-minute intro of like, oh, this next comic, this and that, and like that goes to your time, dude.
Always
you only
cut
got
out that
one
guy.
joke in because somebody was like hyping themselves up. Oh, you saw him on Local 6 News at 5. Like it's like crazy. And you know, there's rules. There's like follow the rules to the submission to the T, and you have the best chance of getting in.
But also, now I'm thinking about a different thing. Why do we think that New York Comedy Festival isn't as big as what they should be? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think I think it's pretty big. It's pretty important.
But you know, when people talking about festival, they say Montreal just for laugh, or they say Edinburgh. Rarely they say New York Comedy Festival when the best in the world is probably living in the city.
Yeah.
Is it new? Is it relatively new?
No, I know exactly why.
Oh, why?
Because Montreal, or it used to be Montreal, not as much anymore, Edinburgh, they focus on developing and finding comics. New York Comedy Fest is more of a celebration of comedy rather than discovering and like new talent really getting the shine that they deserve.
And you can feel that.
And you
too,
get
I
that,
feel.
but
Yeah,
they
I
don't
can feel
promote it like that. It's not. It's more of like the Bill Burr, Sebastian, which is awesome. It's but that's not what that festival is about necessarily. They do the New York's Funniest, and it's a competition of new comics. Used to be at Caroline's every year, and that is a cool thing. And those people do sometimes get something out of it. But the focus of Edinburgh, the focus on JFL. Is new faces.
Yeah.
They do the big stuff, but like new faces is like the hot thing you want to get into.
Everyone I know, like, how do you get an agent? I did JFL. I did. So.
But also, I used to live with Joe List very briefly.
Oh.
And I found his JFL pamphlet when he was on it. Of the 25 new faces, I recognized 2 people.
Wow.
It's crazy how many people can get into that and nothing happens for them. Or they go too early. They got and then like somebody worked a deal. I'll give you my guy if you take this guy, and then it like falls flat. You know, I've seen a lot of that. Literally 2 people I recognize.
Yeah, I see a lot of comics. This is not just, I guess, in New York. Maybe everywhere. Also in Indonesia, they have this sense that to do this or to achieve this is their ultimate goal, and that they have arrived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
it's hard to arrive in comedy.
Yeah, it's like. Oh, I did The Cellar. I have arrived. Yeah. I'm done now. Whereas
did The Cellar like a spot sold out The Cellar or
no, just a spot. But then I heard that you can get kicked. You can get a pass at The Cellar, but then you can get kicked and never get booked. I heard.
Yeah,
that happens a lot to some good people.
Yeah, and so that's
Jim
why
Gaffigan doesn't work The Cellar.
Really?
He never. I don't think he ever got. The story's either he never got asked to audition, he never got the chance to audition, or he didn't get passed early on, and that's kind of like that's it.
Yeah,
and
but
he still doesn't work there.
Wow.
Theaters though, he's doing theaters though, right? For sure.
I think he's fine.
Yeah. I heard the same story, but this is about Jerry Seinfeld not getting a pass at
Comedy
the
Store.
Comedy Store.
She didn't like him. Mitzi didn't like him. He was too shiny,
too normal,
too balanced. Yeah. Normal, like in the yeah. Too clean though too. Like I think he was too.
So do you think this is also why a lot of comic decided to just produce their own shit? I want to talk about a doped up comedy.
Yeah,
because thank you very much for. It's great. It's a great experience.
Bro. Thanks for doing it.
Have I told you that I shit my pants before? Have I told you?
Shit your pants before the show?
Yeah. I wasn't wearing my underwear. Have I talked about this?
I thought you were saying metaphorically.
Yeah. No, I haven't talked about this.
I haven't heard
hyperbolic.
Yeah, so here's the story. First of all, I'm very sorry about that.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah. So what happened was I am lactose intolerant, but I'm also stupid.
Okay.
So I had an iced latte before. And on the train, I was about to shit my pants on the train, on the subway train, but I decided not to because obviously it would be embarrassing for me, but I don't want these people to look at me and, oh, another homeless person shitting on the train. I'm not a homeless person. But then, and so I ran to the producers club. I shit on the toilet, but as I was about to open my pants, everything went out. So it was unsalvageable.
Just sober shitting on yourself?
Yeah, it was so sad. And then I couldn't clean it because it was too wild.
Yeah.
And so I decided to just water it out, and then I put it inside my jacket like a dead baby and looking for a place to throw it away.
You walked out with no pants?
No, I was wearing my jeans.
Oh.
But without the underwear.
Oh, your underwear. Oh, your underwear got soiled, not your jeans.
Actually, if you noticed, there was shit on the jeans when I was wearing. That's why I was sitting on the back, hoping. And in the green room, I was nervous. I hope nobody smells anything. And it's a good thing that you're high, Kevin's high, everybody's high. I'm like, oh man, I'm so nervous. And so I actually threw away my my underwear just outside Producers Club. And so I did 2 mics without my underwear, and then I ran to the stand and did a set without the underwear. And it's so weird wearing jeans without wearing underwear.
Talk about dedication. That's fucking dedication. I have a story about performing in New Jersey for like $20 with wet socks in like a living room, and I feel like that story doesn't even hold up anymore.
And I was nervous. I didn't know because we're not really that close right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should come clean, yo.
Come clean. You should.
Because I told Kevin about this, and Kevin, yo, you should say it. He said that if I say on stage that I was wearing pants, that would be the night.
Oh yeah, you should have said that immediately when you got on stage. Yeah,
always live in the moment with stuff like that.
I was so nervous, Mike. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
I wasn't being honest to everybody.
No,
not
you weren't.
wearing.
And then you have like this fucking sensei vibe. So you're sitting there in the green room like you didn't just shit yourself and you have no underwear on it. Everything's cool.
That was me being nervous, yo.
I was just like, yo, you got bones. You got fucking nerves of steel. Sorry, bro. You got bowels of steel, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I shit my pants. That's the end of the night.
Yeah, for me too. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you.
I don't know. I'm just glad that I was given the opportunity, because I think I'm paying attention to a lot of, alternative shows, maybe
independent shows,
shows, and Doped Up Comedy. I think it's one of the most interesting one. You got great crowds, and there were times where you're doing so many in a week.
Shout out to Kevin and Dylan. Yeah, we used to do multiple shows a week at Greenpoint. That is actually exhausting to do.
Yeah. But you guys are keep.
Yeah, but we had to. We had like the reality, because you're talking about the independent shows and stuff in New York. It was just trying to get more stage time. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to figure out the best way to get more stage time, and what's
took matters through your own hands.
Yeah, what's the way to bring comedy to you?
I see.
So like you can, figure out like how to get further in this thing. And if you produce a good show and you work really hard to do it and promote, a lot of good things can happen from it. I think some people do shows, but maybe they don't want to. Everyone involved maybe doesn't want to put their best foot forward and making it one of the best comedy shows happening in New York. I think if you approach it with that energy and you brand it, you have something. I see a lot of people like that do that and they do it well, and I'm like, I think that's one of the dopest things that a comic can do. And then especially if you end up making some money too, on top is that's good too. But also just being able to give comics that you think are funny headliners that you would love to do shows with, having them do your shows, and then also giving yourself more time to get material off and work on material every week because it's your show. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So this is I didn't realize it's almost now. It's 15 minutes to an hour.
I was late though, so you could shave 10 minutes off.
But where are you going now with your comedy career?
Nowhere, Pandji. Yeah, you did. I'm not going with you to Indonesia. I'm not. Nothing has happened. No, comedy's. I don't.
Do you have
I feel like it's going in a weird direction. Not weird, interesting direction. I'm excited about life. I'm not I'm pretty I'm in a good spirits about comedy, and good spirits about writing. I'm thinking we're getting ready to shoot a half hour in January, me and Kevin. So I'm excited to put out some material after 8 years of doing comedy, which is kind of what I'm an 8-year-old. I'm an 8-year-old in comedy. So I just want to put that out and see what people think of the shit I've been working on, the summation of everything that I've been doing, and see if people go, oh, this is actually pretty shitty. This is why you haven't made it. Or people go, oh, this is dope, bro. Do some more.
January.
We're shooting in January. I hope to put it out in February.
Right.
Yeah. Put out in February. Some Valentine's Day.
Ticket sales starts.
Ticket sales hopefully start January. No, December. Sorry.
All right.
Bugging.
All right.
December, hopefully mid-December. 2 nights. Just shooting one host and me and Kev.
Cool.
See how it goes. So, yeah.
All right. Any social media you want to plug in?
Oh, you wrapping up?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you can follow me online at DC Williams Comedy. Follow me on TikTok at DC Williams Comedy. Also follow Doped Up Comedy Show. And you can catch me at Broadway as well as you can catch me at Broadway as well as Greenwich Village next month in December. And thank Pandji for having me here. I appreciate him. Appreciate him a lot.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You guys, was I looking at the right camera?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much for everybody,
Awesome,
and then
man.
we'll see you guys on
Thank
the
you,
next
guys.
episode next week. Thank you. Peace. Thanks, Mike.